Well, welcome back, my friends, all to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors. We've been on fire here lately, son. Now listen, it's Work Tough Gear Wednesday. I guess I'm showing you that nice satin finish right there, and probably should have figured out that I had it too high to show you the edge, but let me just to describe the edge for you. It's badass, okay? Now, here's the deal. I've got a couple of Kodiak videos on the channel, but Mr. Vic sent me this one. It is in A6 Max. A6 Max. I am not at all familiar with that steel. Some of y'all can fill me in. But here's what I know. Alex from Aurora Borealis Knives is one of my all-time favorite designers. And the Kodiak, seriously, is in my top 3 knives of all time. It just is. So I wanted to do another review because I wanted to have some fun. And listen, when you get a knife like this, it's really, really, really easy to review. It's sharp straight out of the box. It's tough. The heat treat's spot on. The handle's comfortable. But let's deep dive it a little bit. Now, again, Alex from Aurora Borealis Knives is the designer. One of my favorites. Now, the Kodiak weighs anywhere from 28 to 30 ounces, somewhere in there. It has a overall length of 15 1/8 with a 10-inch blade with right at, I'd say about a 9.25 cutting edge. That's pretty close right there. The G10 handles that are always done so well, the handle scales themselves are right at 5 1/4. The inner grip looks like it's at about 4 1/8, so there's plenty of inner grip there. We have a blade stock of quarter inch all day, son. That's a thick beast right there. It has a 90-degree spine. And one thing that Alex does on all of his knives is he puts a hidden lanyard hole. And man, I love that. Now, the balance point on this knife is right, I'd say probably an inch or two above the handle scales. So it's really, really, really well balanced. It feels great in hand. Now I'm cutting some sandblast toes there, reinforced sandblast toes. And to cut something like that with this big a blade is pretty damn impressive. Right here, we're going to do our drop test, throw it at the stump test. Now, if you hear Kirk in the background, we talk back and forth. So what I did is I turned the overall volume down pretty low because typically, just being friends and being in construction, we're just sitting there shooting the shit. Now, we usually talk knives, but we're all over the spectrum. So if you wonder why I turned it down a little lower today, that's it. But I did want you to know I am super, super, super appreciative for Kirk. Now, I say this a lot in the Work Tough Gear videos, but it's true. If it wasn't for Kirk, I may not have ever known, or it would have been a while before I knew about Work Tough Gear. First Work Tough Gear I ever reviewed was the Mountain Bushman, and then the Tayal, then the Mini Tayal, and then one, I believe it was the Nomad Camp. And since then, man, we've probably done 30 or 40 different designs, and I absolutely love them. But what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about here is this. Overall consistency of Work Tough Gear. Here's the thing, guys. If you really, really look around in the community, the only time anybody gets upset with Work Tough Gear is they don't make enough knives. That's a good thing to have. Now, people get mad and get stupid, but if that's the only thing people are getting mad about, you're all right. Now, I will say this too. The Kodiak is a little bit better stabber than you would think. It's a drop point design, and the Kodiak's a monster knife, right? The Mountain Man is the biggest in the series, but the Kodiak is no slouch. So for it to come super sharp, and we're going to get to all that, but the thing is this. What has impressed me the most with Work Tough Gear is their consistency. Consistent. It's a consistent heat treat. Doesn't matter the steel. The knives are consistently sharp. They are to your door fast. And you say, Gab, you trying to sell them? No, I don't see. The other thing that I love about Work Tough Gear is this. I don't have to try to sell them. The damn knife does the work. It just does. Now, the Work Tough Gears you see on the channel now are sent to me by Vic Lynn, and I am forever appreciative of that. Anytime you can put your hands on a good knife, it's a good day, Tater. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not 100% sure when the Kodiak in A6 Max drops. I'm not sure. Alex, maybe put it in the comments if you would, brother. I would certainly appreciate it. But the thing is this. Let's just focus on three things here. Comfort in hand. So they do G10 handle scales for the vast majority. They do some micarta. This is G10. It's done well. Now, we mentioned that 4 1/8 inner grip. The handle thickness, let's talk about that a minute. The handle thickness is right at 15/16 at its thickest point. It contours to the hand very, very well. You get a solid grip. I've never really had a qualm with Alex's handles. They just feel amazing. I did bring down the entire forest there on my head. If you don't live in Florida, it's hard for you to understand. It's the weirdest place. The entire state is held together by vines, right? And I decided to bring them all right down on top of my head. Had to chop my way out, which brings up another great point about the Kodiak. You can use it as a machete type thing. Now, the handles are supremely comfortable. I talked a little bit about the heat treat. Why? Guys, as you're going to see throughout this video, here in a minute, we're going to transition to the stump. We're going to do a little more chopping, but then we're just going to jump straight into some heavy batoning. This is a knife that's made for that. Now, I got a nice piece of cedar here, thanks to Shane. I appreciate that, brother. And so we're just going to take our time. We're going to work our way around, get some really, really solid chops in. But guys, after all of the beating, the batoning, and I've got a log there that's just a beast. I wasn't even trying to baton through it. I just batoned into it. You'll see that in a minute. And beat the hell out of the knife getting it out. It still has a sharp as shit edge that speaks to the heat treat. And again, consistency. Vic is consistent. And they're working on some heat treat formulas. So they're trying to get better. So you've got a company that is consistent and they're working on getting better, right? They put out phenomenal products. So we've talked about the handle scales. We've talked about the heat treat, the sharpness. Guys, honestly, from a knife reviewer standpoint, WTG, Work Tough Gear, is probably the easiest brand to review because all of their knives are going to come in anywhere on a sharp scale from 8 to 10, with 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. They're all 8 to 10. Even the ones that are a little thicker behind the edge geometry is spot on, right? So you've got that going. So you've got the handle skills, you've got the heat treat, you've got the sharpness. Then they put a nice 90-degree spine on damn near every model they have. So if you need to strike a ferrocenium rod, or you need to make some duff, or you need to do some scraping, you can do that. And I mean, it is a sharp 90-degree spine. The other thing is they tend to pick steels. They're not super steels, but they're great steels. And they're steels that are somewhat easy to sharpen in the field. And I know for a lot of you guys, that is massive. Now, I also know at 28 to 30 ounces, it's a bigger knife, right? It is. But it is a heavy hitter, and it can take the place, if you're going hiking, this would take the place of, say, a hatchet or something like that. But it's still sharp enough. It is still sharp enough that you can do some carving, some fine work. Now, I'm not saying making little clowns and salt and pepper shakers. I'm saying if you had to make you a spoon or a fork, or if you needed to make you a tripod or something like that, you could do it. You could probably make you some snares with this thing as well. So it's got the great sharpness, the heat treat spot on, the edge retention. I have found that the edge retention for Work Tough Gear is absolutely amazing. And you guys see it week in and week out and week in and week out. We usually start on about Monday or Tuesday doing all kind of shorts. And one of my favorite things on this planet is slicing paper. It's relaxing. Right? I understand that that's not the end-all be-all for knife testing. It's not even in the realm. I'm not trying to. A lot of times, guys, I get people stick stuff with me that has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy cutting paper because I like cutting paper. It gives you a good idea of how hair-popping sharp it is, but there's nothing more relaxing in the world to me than just slicing some paper. Now, Kirk and I were working on our camera angle here. And guys, listen, we're going to work to get better and better and better and better as we go. That is my goal. That is my promise to you. Not only to show you the knife and give you a good look at the knife, but to get better with it as we go. It's a no-brainer. I just told you Kodiak's in my top 3. Work Tuff Gear's my favorite knife company of all time. So here's the deal. Would I carry it? Dude, it's a no-brainer. And here we're cutting some fireman hose like it's not even sitting there after all that. Guys, let me do this part. There was a time in this country where 22 vets a day took their own lives. Now, stats are everywhere. We know that. We talk about that a lot. That's why here on this channel, we focus on the number 0. Anything over 0 is simply unacceptable. Vets, we love you. You have a place here. That's all that means, man. Guys, I'm back to blue. I mention it all the time. I know it's kind of a hot button topic in this day and age, and that's okay. I have my reasons, and that's why I don't shove it down your throat, right? I'm not arguing with you about it. It's just something I believe in personally. Finally, if you are an addict, never quit quitting. Well, right there is a good example of that 90-degree spine. And here I try to give you a good look at the knife. Man, it's just, here's the thing, right? On top of all the handle scales and the ergos and the heat treat and the sharpness and the consistency and the shipping, it's just a damn good looking knife. Man, it's a good looking knife. Alex, you knocked it out of the park with that. Vic, as always, my brother, phenomenal job. There's old Scab looking lean, getting a little leaner every day as we go. Guys, I've run out of stuff to say. When you got a knife this good, you just let it speak for itself. I hope y'all have a phenomenal Work Tough Wednesday. I love you. I'm Scab. You're not. And I'm gone, son. Love y'all.